So if you've been into cars for any length of time, if you have any kind of interest in cars, you might have a car that you consider a dream car. And that car might be something that's out of your price range. So you may be looking for the cheapest option, the cheapest example of what you want. And that's pretty much what John did. John bought the cheapest Cadillac in Nashville. Did. So the story of how this car came into your possession is a bit of an interesting one, in the fact that you were looking at them. You sent it to me first.
Well, I was just kind of casually browsing, just looking for something.
You found it on Facebook?
Yeah, I found it on Marketplace. I was just looking around, and I came across a 1962 Cadillac.
Yeah.
And it was cheap.
I remember you sent it to me, and I was like, yeah, John, you should totally make this bad financial decision.
Oh, it's a terrible idea.
Yeah, you should totally make this bad decision. And then you messaged the guy.
I did.
Yeah, and he never really got back to you.
We talked off and on for a couple of days, but he had some health issues he was working through and wasn't able to actually meet up with us at any point.
Yeah.
So
I messaged him after he didn't get back to John, and you know, I'm a people person. I established a rapport with the guy, and I was gonna go look at it for John too. But then he never got back to me. He just disappeared off the face of the planet.
Listing was gone.
Yeah, the listing was taken down.
I thought it was sold.
Yeah, and then like 3 months later, we were coming back from Uncle Tony's shop, and we stopped at Kroger, and I get a text message out of nowhere, and it's the Cadillac guy, and I'm like, wait, it's been like 4 months. He still has his car. He still has my number, and I immediately texted John while I was in the store. I was like, John, the Cadillac guy got back to me. Like, I don't know why after 4 months he got back, but he did. And he wants to know if we can come look at the car. And like the next day.
The next day we went over there and looked at it.
Yeah, we went over and looked at it. And there's a reason it's the cheapest Cadillac in Nashville. Or it was.
It was.
But it drove home.
It did.
But show a bit of why it's the cheapest Cadillac in Nashville.
Well, there's a lot.
There's a bit.
There's quite a bit. So
I get a good summary of this is the fact that this car has a wiper blade, but no wiper motor. So let that be the synopsis of what this car
that is kind of the thesis statement. It's mostly there, but there's a lot of stuff missing.
Yeah, the engine is completely wrong.
The engine's completely wrong. Somebody swapped it out at some point for a 350 and a TH350, replaced the 390 and the 4-speed transmission.
Yeah.
So
to make
it's
a long,
not great. It's slower than it should be.
To make a long story short, based on where the timing mark is on this, and I don't know Chevys, but from what I was able to determine, that this car's got like a 350 out of like an 86 to 88 pre-TBI, but after carburation, so it had that weird computer controlled carburetor,
probably
that they swapped out and did it incorrectly.
Yeah, so it might have made 210 horsepower.
But we'll get into that at like another time. The main focus is just to show you what this car is. So I guess just show them what it is.
I mean, the quick walk around is that it's one of the longest and heaviest cars that you could buy, and every time I take it out, it's the oldest one that I see. So
you're the one driving.
I'm the one driving it. Of course, it's the oldest. I know. That's the point.
Yeah. You want to be the oldest thing on the road?
Yes.
I would not want to see this careening toward me in my rear view.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how many people will pull out in front of you when you're in a vehicle. That will absolutely kill them.
I've noticed that. Even like when we're driving, how do you miss this car?
I don't know.
But anyway, it was when we brought it home, it drove itself home. Well, it didn't drive it. I drove it home.
You drove it home.
Yeah, and it was complete. There was nothing missing off the car. And then this fell off. This is the most recent thing to fall off.
Yeah, just the headlight trim ring, which is really expensive.
The cornering light was also there. That fell off on the first time we took it out because it got crushed by the wheel.
And it cut the tire.
Yep.
And then 3 days later, it delaminated in my driveway.
Actually, before this cornering light fell off, one of the spinners fell off of the wheel. But I was able to pick that up in traffic.
Yeah.
So I salvaged that. So, and those spinners are both gone on this side.
Yeah, one of the other ones fell off at some point. I don't know where it is.
Yeah. Either way, this car's got a lot of needs. Like, I mean, is this attached?
Not well. Please stop.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna make it worse.
Not make it fall out on the way back. It's bad enough to have to replace one.
Yeah, no, I can't find them. Yeah, they're gone somewhere.
But anyway, what like possessed you to even like at the limo shop? John and I used to work for a limo shop, and And we had what year was that Caddy?
That was a 62. It was a
62?
1962 Series 75 limousine. It used to be owned by Waylon Jennings.
It used to belong to Waylon. Yeah, it used to belong to Waylon Jennings.
His personal car. It ended up in his brother's possession, and they abandoned it behind a shed somewhere. And there was a tree growing through it. And the guy we worked for did a full restoration on it, and I got to drive it. And it was the best driving car in the whole fleet. Like, even compared to like vintage Rolls Royce, Bentleys, anything that was there. That was the best driving car.
I even like driving it more than the others.
I'm not a huge fan of a lot of classic American cars, but there's no pretensions of sportiness here. It's literally just cool. Like, it's slow. You arrive at your destination. You don't just pull up, you know?
No one expects this car to be fast.
Nobody expects it to be fast. It's just great to drive down the highway.
Hondas don't even rev their engines at you at stoplights.
No, they really don't.
They don't.
They don't even notice it's really there.
Yeah.
Or too, whatever. It doesn't matter. But
what I really love about this car is just like, you can't do this kind of styling anymore. You can't have no pillar here anymore.
It's very difficult.
It's a big open hole.
And it's really hard to actually have a car with as much cabin room.
And this is like one of the only options that the car came with was this
Oh no, that's standard.
Oh, that's standard?
That's standard.
Oh.
Yeah. So this car has no options.
That was actually,
as far as I can tell.
That was actually stuck.
It was stuck. I was able to fix it.
We didn't even know that it had a rear armrest when we were looking at it.
Nope. But there's a lot of stuff that we've done. We've got real good at replacing starters because I broke one of them.
We did one in 26-degree weather.
Yep. The first one we did, it was 26 degrees, and then the second one we did because I broke it.
And we were going to dinner.
We were going to dinner.
And the starter worked.
We had it in and out in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That included going to the store to get another one.
But anyway, so why 62? What, like, most people, like, the American dream Cadillac is like 50s, like late 50s with the big old tail fins. So why 62?
62, 63 is kind of the last era of the late 50s, like, design ethos. By 64, 65, they were very much styled with a ruler. So, like, there was almost no curvature on the body in 65.
Yeah.
So they just looked like a car from the 70s by that point, which is weird because they predated the 70s, but it doesn't matter. But this is a style that I actually like. So it does have tail fins. I've never been a huge fan of tail fins. 59, they were like 18 inches tall and, you know, as long as they are here. But they were more dramatic.
Let me bring it up. You remember the first time this car went to Cars and Coffee, like, what, a week ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, there was a 59 Caddy there, and I never really noticed what you were talking about. Those tail fins compared to this car come to, like, right here.
Yes.
Like, they're huge.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, that car is rolling art, but I get it. I get why you like the early 60s.
It's absolutely powered sculpture.
Yeah.
But I prefer this, because this is where they started going with a bit, it was a little more understated.
Yeah.
Which is what I like.
The 1950s Cadillac speaks to me like rich, flamboyant person, whereas this is like pressed.
This is somebody that's about his business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he knows what he's about. This car knows what it's about. It's not about much right now.
No, it's about...
It's not even really mostly Cadillac.
It's about a lot of rust right now, is what it is.
It makes noises that we haven't identified.
No. Parts of it fall off going down the road. It doesn't have a fuel tank.
You know what the good thing is, though, is that you can just pick them up. If they fall off, I mean, it's not really a total loss.
As long as you're not going down the highway and you lose your headlight trim ring.
Speaking of going down the highway, remember we drove it home that night and it, like, died 4 times?
It died, like, 7 times.
Yeah, that was my fault.
Yeah, so... We got this car, it didn't have a gas tank because somebody who had owned it prior or had worked on it prior tried to jack the back of the car up by putting a floor jack under the gas tank, which is really good when it's made
That's the recommended way to do it.
Sheet metal, and the car weighs 5,000 pounds.
You should always lift on your oil pan and gas tank.
Somebody did the oil pan too. It's crushed.
Recommended.
Don't know. Anyway.
We drove it home on a 5-gallon gas can.
Had to fill it up twice.
Yeah. And when we were filling it back up, we didn't have a way to seal it, so we wrapped it in a plastic bag, and then I dropped it into the gas can, and it sucked it into the pickup like 4 times.
Yep.
So it took us an hour to drive 20 miles.
Yep.
That was a fun night.
I think altogether that day we broke down like 7 or 8 times. Because we broke down a couple times on the way there, and it was fine, and then we topped it back up, and then it wasn't fine anymore.
Are we rambling?
We are rambling a little bit.
Okay.
But now it's got a fuel cell in it because the fuel tank that they make for this car was back ordered indefinitely.
And then when you got the
then I got the fuel cell installed and I got a notification that it was in stock.
Yeah.
Same day.
He installed the fuel cell and then the fuel tanks came back in stock.
Yep.
But anyway, these tail fins though, you couldn't make these anymore either because if you just backed into somebody, they're dead. Or I guess realistically,
I mean, if you back over anybody in any vehicle nowadays, they're probably pretty injured.
I mean, you're not going to impale someone with a Toyota Camry.
No, that'd be very difficult.
You know, but you're also actually, you know, now that I'm looking at it, you're more likely to break your shin.
Yeah.
You break somebody's shin. So, I mean, you know, as long as they're not bending over, you won't, you know.
But, I mean, it's just a lot of car. And it's really good at being a lot of car. Like, you can... Just look how far this opens. Like, this is fantastic.
It's like perfectly straight.
I haven't seen anything else with as much actual seat room.
I mean,
like, I can recall.
I can only imagine.
Certainly nothing recent, unless you're looking at like a Maybach.
I can only imagine that there's one reason that this door opens like this. It's just so you can just.
Yeah, that's good for it.
Yeah, this is the proper way to enter.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's why it opens 90 degrees.
Yeah, totally why it does that. Not so you can put your lady in the back seat and, you know.
I thought I had a pretty good reason.
I mean, dolphin diving is certainly something.
Thinking you're in a black Cadillac, you got to make a quick departure from doing something. You just dive right on in the back.
Just gonna sponsor the car with Dr. Flopper on the back window.
Yeah. But anyway, so there is going to be a lot more with this car. I mean, like, we have a list of stuff.
There's a whole list of things that need to be done. So it's going to need the actual fuel tank.
What's like the next thing that you want to do?
Rebuild all of the suspension.
We already did that.
No, we replaced the shocks because the ones that were on it were the original ones that were on it. Only one of them still had fluid left in it. And it was leaking out bad.
Replacing the shocks is enough suspension to rebuild for me.
Yeah, no, I've got everything for it. We went ahead and we replaced the front wheel bearings. You did the brakes. Made sure that they were all working. And they worked great.
The fronts weren't.
The fronts were not working at all. And the fluid that was in there, as far as we could tell, was original because
I'm pretty sure
black.
I'm pretty sure it was decaf coffee.
Yeah, no, it looked like pond scum.
Yeah. But anyway, there's a lot more coming with this car.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah.